Amen. Who's fired up in the house? I had to use my book. Don't read this book, you'll be convicted. Everyone is looking beautiful today. Look at my boy, Elijah. Looking beautiful. See faces I've never. My sister is in the crowd. Hey! I became so fired up when I saw my sister. I was like, what? Come on. I didn't know you guys can dress like this. Look, I look at you. See you. People coming to church dressed anyhow. I feel like we should be doing single Sunday every Sunday, right? Amen. Who wants to hear the word of God preached this morning? Undiluted, unfiltered word of God. Before I start, just like my discipler always does, let's go to God in prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this morning, God. This is a privilege to preach your word. I don't feel worthy enough to preach your word to these people, Lord. Definitely I've sinned. But Father, don't look on my sin, God. But just speak through me this morning, Father. Shift me out of the way and let your Holy Spirit do the work. Please, God, I pray, Lord, that we'll be convicted in our hearts this morning. That even as we look at your word, Father, those things, whether the ones I've written down or not, I pray you will just speak it out, Lord. And I pray that people will be convicted today. Will make the decision to make you Lord of their life, Father. And for those who are already lukewarm, I pray you wake them up in us. Amen. I just pray, Father, that this Sunday will be one to remember, God. Thank you, Father, for this time. I love you. We love you, Father. For in Jesus' mighty name I pray. Amen. Amen. Single and searching. Sorry, forgive me if it takes a while to look for this scripture, because I really use the physical Bible. It's been a while. She said I should get up. All right. Single and searching. What are you searching for? What are the things people are searching for in this our day? Money? Chasing bar. Marriage. Love. I'm searching for love. Hey. I don't know about you, but hey. Career. I definitely want to find love, Find love. How to get married. Happiness, right? What about peace? People want peace. Like Nigeria is so not peaceful. That's why everybody is running away. The Nigerian dream is to live in Nigeria. Because everybody wants peace. Some people are actually searching for God, right? People are searching for God. Like this country, we're very religious here. So people are actually searching for God. That's right. What about the agnostics? What are they searching for? Answers. The universe. I used to be an agnostic. 4 years ago, you couldn't have convinced me that the existence of God is real. The universe. The God of the universe. The multiverse. Those questions. Metaverse. Now we search for all these things because they give us a certain kind of fulfillment in our hearts, right? Like if we get the answers, we will be fulfilled. If we get the answers, then we can rest. Then we can, yes, I'm done. And so people search hard. People do all they can do, everything they can just to find the answers to questions that, And so I have 2 points today. I have 2 points today. And, don't be lost in the title of the points. Think of the content of the points, guys. Okay. 2 points. The traveler and the destination. Let's open the Bible to Acts 17 real quick. Acts chapter 17. Olu read this at the intro. Right. Acts 17, I'll be reading from verse 16 down to 23. Also, I just wanted to, use this opportunity to thank Uncle B, Auntie Chi, Deji, Dolapo, some of my leaders, giving me the opportunity to stand here. I remember Uncle B called me yesterday and he prayed for me because, I felt ill. The devil didn't want you guys to hear this message today. I'll read 16 down to 23. In 16, okay, now I'll just give you a little background to this before I read. Now you have Paul and Silas. They were in Thessalonica. They preached the word. Some Jews were not happy that the word was being preached, and so they wanted to kill them. So they had to escape to Berea. Now they were in Berea preaching the word. The Berean Jews were more receptive, but then the Thessalonians, the Jews in Thessalonica heard that they were in Berea. They traveled away from Thessalonica to Berea just to persecute them again. So now they had to leave to Athens. And so now they're in Athens at this point. In 16 it says, while Paul was waiting for them in Athens, that he was waiting for Silas and then Timothy to come and join him because he had to leave because Paul was the troublemaker. And so he had to leave, waiting for Silas and Timothy to come meet him. And it was like, while Paul was waiting for them in Athens, he was greatly distressed to see that the city was full of idols. So he reasoned in the synagogue with both Jews and God-fearing Greeks, as well as in the marketplace, day by day, with those who happened to be there. A group of Epicurean and Stoic philosophers began to debate with him. Some of them asked, "What is this babbler trying to say?" Others remarked, "He seemed to be advocating foreign gods." They said this because Paul was preaching the good news about Jesus and the resurrection. Then they took him and brought him to the meeting of the Areopagus, where they said to him, "May we know what this new teaching is that you are presenting? You are bringing some strange ideas to our ears, and we would like to know what they mean." All the Athenians and the foreigners who lived there spent their time doing nothing but talking about and listening to the latest ideas. Paul then stood up in the meeting of the Areopagus and said, "People of Athens, I see that in every way you are very religious. For as I walked around and I looked carefully at your objects of worship, I even found an altar with the inscription to an unknown God. So you are ignorant of the very thing you worship, and this is what I am going to proclaim to you." Before I go on, what is an idol? What do you think an idol is? Let me get an answer. What do you think an idol is?
Something you worship.
Something you worship. Something that replaces God's position. Exactly. Something you give too much devotion to. Christine, your hand is up. Same thing. Right. Basically something you desire so much that it takes the place of God in your life. Right? That is how these people were. But then they literally, because an idol can never really satisfy you, you keep searching. And these people, They kept searching. They even wrote to an unknown God. It's like, okay, let's just put unknown there. Maybe this one, we don't know this one, maybe it will just satisfy us more. They also said to the Epicurean and Stoic philosophers. You know who an Epicurean is? There are people that are devoted to sensual enjoyment, that which comes from food and drink, mostly. I hope we don't have Epicureans in the house. Right? Do we have Epicureans in the house? And then you just say Stoic philosophers. People who they are sort of like devoted to endurance of pain without showing emotion, showing that weakness. If they show weakness, it feels like they are, they're not as spiritual. They're not as religious. We have different variations of that in the world today, where people do so many things, so many things that make them feel like this is what it means to actually serve God. Right. Let me show you something in Matthew 15. Okay. The traditions of men run deep. Before I became a disciple, I hated Christianity for a bit because it didn't make sense to me. It didn't make sense to me that we have over 3,000 denominations in the world and we use the same Bible. And there you go in John 17 that Jesus preaches about unity. He's praying, and he's praying not just for his disciples, he's praying for believers all over the world. That those who will come to him through their message will be one, brought to complete unity. Well, here we are, over 2,000 years ago, 2,000 years later, we have 3,000 denominations. I'm not saying 3,000 churches. You can do your research about this. 3,000 denominations that believe in different ways of being saved.
Preach, bro. Come on.
Is that unity?
No.
Is that complete unity?
No.
Even Jesus, before he didn't want to. He was like, if this cup can be taken over me, but what? Let your will be done. Because he had to be completely united with Jesus. If you are completely united with someone, you can't have a different idea than the other person will.
Absolutely, yes.
And so I looked at Christianity like, this doesn't make sense. In fact, Islam, they're more united than us. Do you want us to go there? Can you mention more than 4 denominations? Matthew 15. I'll read 1 to 9. It says, Then some Pharisees and teachers of the law came to Jesus from Jerusalem and asked, Why do your disciples break the traditions of the elders? They don't wash their hands before they eat. Jesus replied, And why do they break the commands of God for the sake of their tradition? For God said, Honor your father and your mother, and anyone who curses their father or mother is to be put to death. But you say that if anyone declares that what might have been used to help their father or mother is devoted to God, they are not to honor their father or mother with it. Thus, you nullify the word of God for the sake of your tradition. You hypocrite. Isaiah was right when he prophesied about you. These people honor me with their lips, but their hearts are far from me. They worship me in vain. Their teachings are merely human rules. What we practice a lot in this religious world is traditions of men.
That's right.
Here you see the Pharisees, they are angry that the disciples are not obeying their rule. Mm-hmm. And Jesus is like, what? Like, really? If I don't wash my hand before I eat, I haven't sinned against God. Although it's good to wash your hand before you eat. Guys, please wash your hand before you eat. But like, you haven't sinned against God. It's nowhere in the commandments that you have sinned against God. But the one that concerns God, you guys break it confidently, but you're okay with that. Here, Jesus was trying to address something that they call the Koban law, where, honor your father and your mother, right? Meaning, part of honor your father and mother is take care of them when they're old. And so, these Pharisees came up with a law that the money, you can just calculate the money, the resources used to take care of your parents when they are old, and then bring it to the Pharisees, to the temple, and God will take care of your parents. Wow. So literally, that's a direct. You are breaking the command of God directly.
That's right.
Honor your father and your mother. And maybe the Pharisees were not the ones that brought this law. Maybe it started, maybe they don't even know the origin. They may have even forgotten, they might have given birth to them into that, and they're just diligently practicing it. And I see that in the world today. People with zeal, but no knowledge. Think of it, do you have zeal without knowledge? The church you go to now, what you worship, what you believe in at this point in time, is it biblical?
Rich.
Are you really searching for truth? Or you just want to be among?
That's good, yeah.
Are you searching for truth? Or you just feel like being among these people that call themselves Christians? So many things we practice now. When I look at Amen. Guys, family, don't have zeal without knowledge.
Amen.
Many people preach what they don't know, because that is what they were trained to preach.
Yes.
They are not wicked people in their hearts. Although God calls them evil people. In Matthew 7, he said, evildoers. They love lawlessness. Do you know what lawlessness is? Not following the law. Do you know what the law is? If you don't follow the law, you love lawlessness. And so, absolutely, if you are preaching something wrong, whether by ignorance, if you are following it as well, whether you are ignorant or you just choose to, you love lawlessness.
Wow.
Think about it. It goes down to say, these people honor me with their lips, but their heart is far away from me. They worship me in vain, and their teachings are merely human rules. Imagine God telling you this, and you are wasting your time with all your zeal. You go to church every Sunday. You have your quiet time in the morning. You are very dedicated. But God is like, no, your zeal, all that thing is human rules. All just because you fail to go into the Word and eagerly examine the scriptures. Let's go back to Acts 7. In Acts 17, when Paul left Thessalonica because they wanted to lynch him, he went to Berea. In verse 10, see what it says. As soon as it was night, the believers sent Paul and Silas away to Berea. On arriving there, they went to the Jewish synagogue. Now, the Berean Jews were of more noble character than those in Thessalonica, for they received the message with great eagerness and examined the scriptures every day to see if what Paul said was true. How many of you examine the scriptures every day to see what you have been preached to is true? This is Paul. Paul wrote 13 epistles in the Bible. In this New Testament, 13.
That's right.
Paul was literally, there's no man of God greater than Paul.
Yes.
But literally, he would preach, and they would go and check to see if what Paul said was true, because they knew it wasn't about Paul.
Yes. Absolutely.
They knew it was about Jesus. Is it about Jesus for you this morning? Sometimes, we focus on ourselves so much that we now think, we now think that's the purpose of our life, ourselves. Even the purpose of your salvation is not you.
Yes.
Do you know that? Because if the purpose of your salvation was you would have died the moment you got baptized. So that you just go to heaven, Abby. But Matthew 28, 18 to 20, we sing it all the time. Go into the world and do what?
Make disciples.
Continue.
Baptize them.
The purpose of your salvation is not you. It's to glorify God. Let's go to 1 Corinthians 10.
Okay. Come on, Tony.
1 Corinthians 10, I'll read 21 down to 24.
Okay. So with you.
21 down to 24. And that you cannot drink the cup of the Lord and the cup of demons too.
Wow.
You cannot have a part in both the Lord's table and the table of demons. Are we trying to arouse the Lord's jealousy? Are we stronger than He? I have the right to do anything you say, but not everything is beneficial. I have the right to do anything, but not everything is constructive. No one should seek their own good, but the good of others. Do you struggle with selfishness? Part of the reason why, even in Philippians 2, it talks about do nothing out of selfish ambition, vain conceit, or value others, in humility, value others above yourself. Think about the motive as to why you do things. Sometimes in the journey as we search, we have we're in a self-love generation, right? Yeah. Self-love. I love myself. Selfie. Selfie is a term, but hey, they even put a selfie camera there so we can snap ourselves, right? Everybody's like self-love. I gotta love myself first. I put myself first, but hey, that's not biblical, yo. It's so not biblical. But there's a reason why. Let me show you something in Matthew 24. Corinthians has shown us. Do you want to eat the cup of the Lord or from the cup of demons as well? In Matthew 6, we see that it says you can't serve both God and money. Because money is a God. And so, you have to either pick one. You can't serve, because then your devotion will be to one. But then there's a reason why we don't love and we focus on ourselves. Let me show you something. Okay. Matthew. All right. Matthew 24, we read from verse 12. Okay. Matthew 24, we read from verse 12. From verse 12 it says, because of the increase of wickedness, the love of most will do what? Grow cold. Why are people's love cold now? Because of the increase of wickedness. So the world is getting wicked daily. Just look at the news. It's not even that far. Just look at the news. But then you have to ask yourself, what is more important to you than yourself? If you find it hard to answer that question, then you are selfish. If you sit down and really think, what is more important to me than myself? Because then if nothing is more important to you than yourself, then there's a problem. There's a problem. It means that you can't bring yourself to see from the perspective of Jesus Christ. Dying on the cross, living his high horse in heaven, coming down to relate with human beings. And if you can't see from the perspective of Jesus Christ, you cannot be with Jesus Christ. Let's go to Philippians 1. Okay. Let me show you something. For people who don't want to suffer, let me show you something.
All right.
Philippians 1. Philippians 1:20, chapter 1, verse 29.
Come on, bro.
For it has been granted to you on behalf of Christ, not only to believe in him, but also to suffer for him. You cannot be a Christian. You cannot boast, beat your chest and say you are in Christ if you do not suffer for Christ. What does it mean to suffer for Christ? Is that you go on the street and put yourself in sackcloth and be rolling on the floor? No. But do you know what it means? Have you ever shared your faith before?
Oh, yeah.
Have you shared your faith to somebody who doesn't want to listen to you before? Now, bro, can I have 5 minutes of your time? Do you know how? Do you know how embarrassing that is? Tony Webb. Sharing my faith. Literally, I'm the one bringing good news to you. But I'm the one treated like a bag of. Have you had to cancel a meeting just to be at Bible talk? Have you had to turn down a job because it was going to take you away from the kingdom?
Rich, bro.
Have you had to not travel abroad because there's no church there? Do you know what it means to suffer for the sake of Jesus Christ?
Rich.
I'm sorry, if you don't want to suffer, you cannot make it. You're looking for the comfortable Christianity.
Not here, bro.
The one that God is your genie. He will give you anything that you want.
Absolutely.
You sin against him every day. You use the F word. You throw the middle finger everywhere.
Say grace.
You insult people in Lagos traffic. You use the S word, the B word, all the words. There are new ones now. You fornicate with your boyfriend and your girlfriend.
Come on, Tony. Keep it real.
I studied the Bible once with someone, and the person told me that she doesn't think kissing is a sin. What's going on through your mind when you are kissing someone? Is it Jesus Christ? That's what's going through your mind.
Keep it real, bro.
Do you know what it means to hold yourself to marriage? Do you know what it means to even live without the possibility of getting married? My sisters in the full-time ministry would tell you about this one.
Deep, bro.
Guys, think about it. You think Jesus Christ came, died, went back and sitting at the right hand of God right now for us to misbehave? And you think he will make heaven? You think with all the life, that the way you are living right now, you think that's what it is? Oh yeah, now.
Talk about it.
Point number 2, the destination.
Come on, Tony.
How much pleasure and worldly gain will satisfy you? Should I give you, just tell me, $10 billion? What will give you the happiness that you want at this moment? If I give you a husband now, one very handsome guy, spiritually, he's on fire, preaches the word of God, he walks in a good place too. I mean, oil money right there. Oil money right there. Construction money right there. IT money. Guys, how much worldly gains will satisfy you? How much worldly gains do you think will satisfy you? I mean, we're all searching think about it. most of the things that you were searching for, like say last year, 2 years ago, some have come to pass, but you're still searching for something else. Why are you not satisfied? Like, I want to go to the university, you get to the university, now, oh, I want to graduate. I've graduated. Okay, I want to get a job. I've gotten a job. I want to get a better job. I've gotten a job. Now I want to get married. Okay. You get married. Okay, I want to have a kid. I want to have a child. Okay, you want to, okay, I want my children to. Do you think there's ever a point in time that you will get to that you will be satisfied? You know, this one is for my brothers. Even in choosing a spouse, guys, let me tell you guys this one. If beauty is your criteria, you are failed. Let me explain to you. My sister is in the house. See, I remember one time I used to brag to my mom and son, like, the girl I'll bring home, man. Hey. Forget it. By the time I bring this girl home, people can say no. So I wanted a Kim Kardashian that is spiritual. Guys, I wanted. Yo, see. Let me tell you why that criteria would not work. Because beauty is so relative. Like, you can't find. If beauty is your criteria, it's so endless that today you might see a fine lady, pretty, she speaks well, she's nice. The truth is, there are like a million ladies like that. And so your criteria, okay, this was my criteria. It's unending. It's unending. Tomorrow you will cheat on your wife because your criteria is beauty. The moment you're satisfied with this one, next one, the next beauty, because you can't. So brothers, as you choose, no. ask the married. Uncle B, maybe I'm not qualified to say this, but Uncle B, am I lying? Plus your spouse won't be that beautiful forever. Let's say the truth. After one child, two children, I don't think she'll be as beautiful as she was on the first day. So if your criteria was beauty, I'm so sorry. Let's go back to Acts 17.
This is good. This is good. Come on, Tony. Good job.
Acts 17, I'll read from 24 down to 34. The God who made the world, the God who made the world and everything in it is the Lord of heaven and the earth, and does not live in temples built by human hands. And he is not served by human hands as if he needed anything. Rather, he himself gives everyone life and breath and everything else. From one man he made all the nations that they should inhabit the whole earth. And he marked out their appointed times in history in the boundaries of their land. God did this so that they may seek him and perhaps reach out for him and find him, though he is not far from any one of us. For in him we live and move and have our being. As some of your own poets have said, we are his offspring. Okay, let me read down to 34. Therefore, since we are God's offspring, we should not think that the divine being is like gold or silver or stone, an image made by human design and skill. In the past, God overlooked such ignorance, but now he commands all people everywhere to repent, for he has set a day when he will judge the world with justice by the man he has appointed. He has given proof to this to everyone by raising him from the dead. When they heard about the resurrection of the dead, some of them sneered, but others said, we want to hear you again on this subject. At that, Paul left the council. Some of the people became followers of Paul and believed. Among them was Dionysius a member of the Areopagus, also a woman named Damaris, and a number of others. So now, okay, I thought that was all. Uncle be telling me your time is up, right? I still have one full page, guys. Uncle B, no, Uncle B. Right. So, key thing that I just want to bring out here is, from one man he made all the nations. Who is that man? Right? And that they should inhabit the whole earth. And he marked out the appointed times in history and the boundaries of their land. And God did this so that we'll seek him, perhaps reach out for him, and then what? See, when I think of, someone asks me, okay, then what about the Muslims? What about the Buddhists? All those people who were giving birth to in another religion. This is always my answer to them. This is always my answer to them. From one man, God made the nations.
That's right.
That they should inhabit the whole earth. And he marked out the appointed times in history and the boundaries of their land. So basically, God put everybody everywhere. God made me in Nigeria and I was giving birth to in Maiduguri. Took me all the way from Maiduguri down to Kaduna. From Kaduna down to Lagos. So that I would do what? Seek him. So for the fact that the lack of giving birth to Germany, I'm sorry she had to come back to Nigeria. God did that so that what? Seek him. So whatever religion you find yourself in, God did that so that you would seek him. What stops us is our pride. The fact that we are not actually seeking for the truth. Do you really want the answers? When I study the Bible, people, I ask them, do you really want the answers? Are you searching for the answers? Or you just want to add some knowledge to yourself? Because there are two types of people. There are people who really want the answers. And there are people who are just stuck in the searching zone because it gives them power. And it doesn't, nobody can control them. When you're in that place where nobody can tell you anything, no one can really control you there because there's no God over you. Are you really seeking? God is the reason why. And God even says perhaps. So God did all this permutation and combination everywhere just so that we perhaps. So he's still leaving it to our choice. So everything still boils down to your choice at the end of the day. Don't waste your choice.
Amen.
You have to desire faithfulness. If not, even if you find it, you will lose it. Are you ready to be faithful before you find it? What is faithfulness? What is faithfulness? What is faithfulness? Why is everyone quiet? Is it cutting? What is faithfulness, guys? I need answers. What is faithfulness? Loyalty. Steadfastness, consistency. Ooh, I like that. Devotion. Deji, that one is too long. But he's right, commitment. He's right. He says fulfilling the terms of an agreement. Faithfulness. So someone say consistency. I like that one. Consistency, because even when things are bad, you are still consistent. So it's not based on, if God blesses me, then I will seek him. I saw something on someone's WhatsApp status one time, and that thing keeps haunting me. It's like, she said, are you seeking the face of God, or you are seeking the hand of God? And I saw that thing. I screenshot it. I was just like, I couldn't understand. Have you ever seen those kind of things? I just got humbled. I was like, okay, amen. If God never blesses you again, would you still seek him? As a disciple, if God never blesses you again, if this is the highest you get in your life, would you still serve God? When I see my older disciples, Uncle Paul, Uncle B, Dr. Benedict, I didn't even see Dr. Benedict in the house, Uncle T, I'm just like, wow, how did they make it? 25 years, 30 years, 40 years, I'm just like, you're spiritually faithful for 40 years in this Nigeria. And it's not like they're the richest people in the world. It's not like they're living so comfortable, but they're still faithful. In fact, they're arguing faithfulness with 3 singles. Like singles were supposed to baptize like 10 people before we allowed the marriage to baptize one. But we are arguing. We are arguing about to. Matthew 24. Matthew 24:13. Matthew 24:13, and we just read Matthew 24:12. Matthew 24:13, it says, in 12 it says, because of the increase of wickedness, the love of most broke hold. In 13 it says, but the one who stands firm to the end will be saved. So do you think you were saved when you got baptized? I mean, you were saved from your sin, right? Amen. But do you think that was it? No. Do you think that was the purpose of you being baptized? I just got baptized and I'm saved now. Amen. I just focus on myself, on my spirituality. I just focus on myself. If you are not faithful to the end, you will not be saved. There's so much to do in God's kingdom, but the workers are so few. You know why the workers are few? First of all, because of false doctrine. We have so many people. I mean, the world is so religious, and there's so much false doctrine out there that people have forgotten people don't understand what true Christianity is. And so there's an increase in people who think that they really love God, but they actually don't. Are you going to avail yourself to be used? There's so much work to be done. I'll just say this one, even though we need more people in the full-time ministry.
That's right.
God has been choking your heart since, but you have been ignoring Him. Let's see how long you want to send out mission team. They are telling me that my time is up. Amen. Guys, would you guys just spare me some more time? Yes. Mission team, would you avail yourself? Or you are still caught up in the things you want to achieve for yourself? I wanted to achieve a lot for myself. I still want to. Music. You couldn't have told me nobody. But is that more important than saving souls? What I'm searching for my personal gain, is that more important than telling people about the true good news of Jesus Christ? You don't need Uncle B's permission to be fired up. You don't need any leader's permission to go full in service. In fact, one of the ways that you get to know that you are called to the ministry is throwing yourself into service. Throw yourself into so much service and see if you would like it. What do you think God's favorite love language is? All right, I don't think God has a favorite love language, but one of the love language that will make you closer to God is quality time.
That's right.
Are you spending quality time with God and His Word? Not spending quality time going to church, going for evening services. Because you want to show God that, oh God, I'm showing up for you, so show up for me. I went to church last week with God. Why did this happen to me? God, why me? If not you, who? So you want that thing to happen to someone else? Can you boldly say you know God? Because you have spent quality time with Him lately. Have you gone on a date with God before? Where it's like God is at the other side and like you just buy two, it was Papa Blaze that said this, and you buy two Cokes because you will drink the 2 Cokes, right? But then you are spending quality time with God. The thing is, if you try to be perfect all the time, for marriage and even people who have deep friendships, you see, you hide your imperfections from your partner because you are always trying to be perfect. You have that desire to be perfect. If you permit me, I really want to share this. Purity has a link with unity.
That's right.
If there's impurity in the church, there's disunity in the church. Automatically.
Come on, bro.
And I shared for communion last week, and God really convicted my heart about what purity is. Holiness. Real quick, let's read Psalm 133. Psalm 133. I also used this as an opening for the physical singles devo last week. How good and pleasant it is when God's people live together in unity. It is like precious oil poured on the head, running down on the beard, running down on Aaron's beard, down on the collar of his robe. It is as if the dew of Hermon were falling on Mount Zion. For there the Lord bestows His blessing, even life forevermore. Right? And so here we see that living together in unity is like precious oil poured on the head, running down on the beard, running down on Aaron's beard. I mean, for all of So if we go down to Psalm 141, it says in 5, in verse 5, it says, let a righteous man strike me. That is a kindness. Let him rebuke me. That is oil on my head. My head will not refuse it, for my prayer will still be against the deeds of evildoers. Now it says, let the righteous man strike me, right? It is kindness. Let him rebuke me. That's what? Oil on my head. Now if you go back to 133, it says, it's like precious oil poured on my head. What is like precious oil? Unity. Unity, rebuke. You can't, rebuke is like oil. You can't take away the place of rebuke. When you go wrong and you get correction, I have to get open about impurity and get the necessary rebuke that I needed so that I will get healing.
Amen.
The reason why you will still be struggling with impurity is because you haven't gotten open. That's the only way to actually cure impurity. Openness. If you don't get open today, if you don't get open about impurity, you will keep falling. Then you'll be like, don't worry, I would handle it. I have this covered. Yeah, amen. You'll fall again. God, why? Okay, cool. Till you become numb. Do you know numbing is a sin? Because it involves lying. It involves lying to yourself that you're okay. So it's actually a sin. If you don't have a heart like a child, where you are humble, you bring yourself low, down enough to be corrected, I'm sorry, you cannot enter the kingdom of God.
That's right.
In the same way, as a guest here today, you have heard the message, and you harden your heart not to study the Bible and find out what true salvation is. You are not ready to see the kingdom of God.
That's good.
Disciples, the devil doesn't go for your convictions directly. He first weakens all the convictions around you. Then the one that your core conviction is standing on, the middle, then he attacks it. First of all, you stop praying. You stop confessing. You stop getting open. You stop sharing your faith. He starts weakening all those other areas. Because obviously, he knows if he comes for your conviction, it's like, I mean, you can't come and tell me that this is not the truth. So he has to weaken everything else. So the whole building is literally standing on one pillar. So by the time you just tip it, it falls. And you ask yourself, last year I was fired up. How is it I'm not fired up again this year?
Good one. Bring it, bro.
Because of the little things, you don't get open. You can never value the people in the kingdom of God except they hold something dear. Except they hold something really dear for you. And that's why getting open is very important. They need to hold something that you are scared that they should not. That's how you will value them. So think about it. If you don't value the kingdom, it's like you put other things above the kingdom. Ask yourself, how has your confession been? Brothers, we like looking macho. We don't like looking weak. But the only way to stay here and do 20 years a disciple, 30 years a disciple, 40 years a disciple is when you have to get open. If not, you fall away. I guarantee you. No matter how strong you think you are, you start questioning your faith. Who wants to go skydiving? People are scared. They don't want to go skydiving. Who wants an adventurous life? Like you're traveling, you got money. But an adventurous life is the life of a disciple. If you really want an adventurous life, live the life of being a disciple. Every day, something new. But it can't be about you. When Eve disobeyed God in the garden, at that moment her priority shifted from pleasing God to pleasing herself. Okay, what pleasure can I get from this food? The moment that happens in your life, where everything about what you do is about pleasing yourself first, you have missed the mark. Think about it. Every single thing you do every single day, everything you search for is about you. Everything you look for, everything you're in this journey for, the end destination you're looking for is about you.
Yes.
You have missed the mark greatly.
Mm-hmm. That's right. That's good.
I'm about to round up here, guys. Are you still in awe of God as a disciple? Do you still have that enthusiasm you had at the beginning? That's I want everybody to hear this. When I became a disciple, I remember the day I became a disciple. My sister doesn't know this, but that was on her birthday, 31st December. We had a very sweet birthday party for her at Mega Chicken, the Chinese. And I was just looking, I was like, I'm going to get baptized tonight. And I remember going back home and I was just crying. I was just crying. I didn't know why I was crying. I was just crying. I cried for like 1 hour. I was just crying. And I called my mom and Mom, I'm about to give my life to Christ. And my mom was like, son, I love you. That's all I have prayed for. She didn't know that this was the. She didn't know that this was the radical. She didn't know it was that time. I remember I didn't want to tell anyone because I was my sister the whole day. We were together with my brother too. I didn't tell anybody. I was like, because I felt like my life has scattered. I was like, okay, this is the end. Tony Wab is no more. So this is it. Because I knew it was the truth and I could not run away. I was like, what is the meaning of this? Why did I study the Bible? I should have just known. When Charles called me that, I would have said, no, don't disturb me. Now see me here, I've known the truth. I could not run away because I know I will live forever. I will live in the pain. I will know that there's something that I'm not doing. That's right. Do you still have that enthusiasm as in the beginning when your family, you wanted them to be saved? But they have persecuted you so much. They have told you that this thing that you believe in, we don't believe in it. Oh. They have persecuted you so much that you have dampened your spirituality. Now you don't even want to share your faith again. That happened to me. At the beginning, I cut off from my family. Because I didn't want anybody to question me. This is your church that I'm going to every time. I literally cut off my family. Until my brother Toby called me. I was like, bro. Toby told me, bro, you can't. Bro. You gotta go. Toby said, you have to be there with your family. You can't run away from your family. Stay there. Because I didn't just want anybody to be telling me. I just wanted to be. Are you running away from the world? Are you running away from the world? Because you are scared of how it will make you look. You are searching for something that will never give you fulfillment. Because there's always something more. 10 billion, there is a 20. 100 billion, there is a 200. But God, there is one. Once you find Him, you are fulfilled. Are you searching for that this morning? I'll read one scripture and then we'll close up. Let's go to John 4. John 4. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Okay. Sorry, right? Before they say the guy that is preaching cannot open it. John 4:23. You think you are the only one searching? Let me show you someone else who is searching. John 4:23. It says, yet a time is coming and has now come when the true worshippers worship the Father in spirit and in truth. For they are the kind of worshippers the Father what? God is literally searching. But who is he searching for? True worshippers. What does it mean to worship God in spirit and in truth? Romans 12:1 and 2. What is worship? Offering our bodies. You think worship is not just I'm singing, oh Jesus. No. Worship is offering your bodies. Yes. Pure, holy, living sacrifice. That's the kind of worship as the Father seeks. But God is seeking for you this morning. So you're not the only one traveling to find the destination. God also is traveling, trying to get you to your destination. This morning, I beg of you. I'm begging you. I can kneel down. I'm begging you this morning. Don't leave here without making a commitment to study the Bible. Amen. Because then what will happen is, when God comes, or if you die tomorrow or next, or whenever, we think death is far. I've lost a lot of people this year. And I never knew that they were going to die. I lost a friend last year, this guy had so much life. In fact, he felt like all of us would die before this guy. But he died. This guy was reaching out to me, let's do this business, blah, blah, blah. I never really called him because I was so busy. And I felt the pain that maybe if I connected with this guy, maybe. Don't leave here today without making a commitment to study the Bible, to find out what true Christianity is, to find out what it means to search. Because everyone is single in the eyes of God. You will stand before Him single. He wouldn't say your spouse. He wouldn't say your brother. We are all going to be single, and God will ask you, what were you searching for? To God be the glory.